The Justice Department and Homeland Security Department holding a joint news conference on that New York City bombing suspect. We could get some potentially big news here. We are monitoring this. As you can see, Attorney General Jeff Sessions is speaking now. We'll bring you any updates as we get them. Chris Bedford, editor-in-chief of the Daily Caller News Foundation. Leslie Marshall's a syndicated radio host and Fox News contributor. We're happy to have both of you here, Chris and Leslie. Chris, can I start with you first? This was a pre-planned press conference. This was planned before the attack played out, the failed bombing attempt yesterday in New York City. It's to be held on the administration's efforts to combat MS-13 and carry out its immigration priorities. But it's called a press conference, so we could learn more. There could be obviously questions from the press. What do you expect to hear? Let's start with the Attorney General this morning, who's making opening remarks.
I expect to hear some questions about migration, chain migration, and the diversity lottery. The reason for that is because both of those programs played a part in yesterday's attack, and both of those programs have been in the target of the Trump administration. The family member who came in first before the suspect, and we call him suspect even though a pipe bomb went off in his pocket, the family member who came in first came in through a diversity visa that allowed him to come and kind of skip a few lines and get vetted and come through into the country. And then he has allowed to bring different degrees of family members who he's related to into the country through chain migration, meant to unite families. This is the fourth level. The final level was the guy who ended up detonating a bomb or a pipe bomb in a New York City subway this morning. Both of those are targets, and both of those should come up. Looking at the Attorney General's prepared remarks that he's delivering right now, Leslie, I'd like to share with you a portion of it directly discussing chain migration. He said the president has proposed ending chain migration and switching to a merit-based system like they have in Canada and Australia. That means welcoming, as he puts it, the best and the brightest, and turning away not only terrorists but gang members and criminals. Leslie?
Well, I have said all along that chain migration is something that at one time was needed in this country. It's no longer needed. We're a very diverse nation. That's one of the reasons it was originally set up. And quite frankly, many Democrats like Chuck Schumer feel the same way, even though he was in a very different position years ago. The problem, Sandra, is this does not address those here, and it doesn't address those who are inspired, as they say this individual was, by ISIS. And that inspiration comes within the heart, the mind, and the soul, and often through the computer. No wall, no ban, and getting rid of chain migration doesn't address that or those that are here. And of course, we also have to ask, well, how many generations are we going to go back? We have to look at what we have here and going forward to address why and how these people are radicalized and preventing and stopping that.
Jeff Sessions goes on further, Chris, to say we should give priority to those who are likely to thrive here, such as those who speak English or are highly skilled, not someone chosen at random or who happens to be somebody's relative.
Yeah, and Congressman King was speaking on this program just earlier, and he said he didn't think that those were problems. He thought that instead there should simply be vetting. But bringing in people who are able to thrive, who won't be pushed to the margins of society, people who are best able to contribute to the United States, contribute to our workforce, and become members of a community, that's one way to vet and to get around this problem of otherwise radicalization for the fringe members of society, people whose neighbors, like the suspect, whose neighbors say that they were very unfriendly, they didn't really get along in the economy, they didn't get along with their neighborhood. That bringing in people who have skills, speak the language, that will help with all of those.
You know, Leslie, he says in his final remarks, let me be clear, ending illegal immigration is not hopeless. We can do it, he said. Is the president and his administration, are they laying out the right ideas here to tackle this problem?
No, because as I just said, it doesn't really tackle the problem. And it's not just terrorism. We have massacres in this country from people that were born, bred, and raised here for numerous generations. No wall, and Bangladesh is not on the list of the Muslim countries that
Leslie,
are banned.
what's your solution then?
Addresses
what is your
those
solution
issues.
Then?
Well, first, I'm not president, never will be, Sandra, but I have to say it's a multifaceted problem. And one of the things that we have to do is, first of all, look that this is not a political issue. This is an issue of safety, which I think both left and right can agree on, that we need an improved immigration process. But that doesn't mean what we're doing now, which is right now we have Border Patrol is deporting less, and then we have ICE deporting more. That's not addressing the problem in this country.
Right.
Do we want a stronger,
well, it's not a simple solution,
vetting
that's
process?
for sure. sure. And I've got to jump in here because you're looking at the Attorney General. He's speaking right now. We're also expected to hear from the DHS Secretary Kristen Nielsen. We want to get to those remarks, especially if they start taking questions. So thanks to both of you for being here.
Thank you.
All right.